Remember when you were young, you shone like the sun. Shine on, you crazy diamond.
Hello everybody, welcome to Dark Side of the Walls vlog number 9. Never thought we'd get this far, but it's a lovely day, so I'm out in the garden. Now we're finally allowed to do so here in Leicester. The subject of this particular vlog is our keyboard player, Pete Riley. Pete's been in this band as long as I have, 20 odd years now, so he's going to set a camera up in his own place over in Derbyshire and talk about his time in the band, and that includes running through his musical career, his original music projects, and also of course his setup, and he'll set his keyboards up in his living room, so that should be interesting. Right, over to you, Mr. Riley.
Hi, my name's Pete Riley. I play keyboards in the Pink Floyd tribute band Dark Side of the Wall. I've played in Dark Side of the Wall now for 20 years. The year 2000 was when I first auditioned with Steve to play with the band. Quite a daunting task, to be honest with you, once I was coaxed into actually going for the audition. Steve and I had already played in a Pink Floyd tribute band for a few years called Pigs on the Wing. Did a few gigs around Leicestershire in the area, that sort of area. Great fun. Sort of cut our teeth into how we'd actually work out how to start playing this complex and amazing music. But I knew Pink Floyd. I'd been listening to it for quite a few years. In the late 70s, that was the first time I actually heard Pink Floyd, when we went to a family party. My Uncle Mick had got Dark Side of the Moon and put it onto the record deck and started playing it. And I just sat there absolutely agog. I didn't realise what Pink Floyd was until that very moment, and that was it. It was one of those eureka moments. I absolutely adored it. So with my Christmas money that year, I went straight out and bought Dark Side of the Moon. My favourite album, though, out of all of them is actually Animals. I much prefer Animals to any of the other albums. I think it's a real interesting mix of sounds, styles and well, soundscapes in a sense, with all the messages behind it. It's fantastic. So my love for Pink Floyd has been there for many, many years. Steve came up with the idea of setting up Pigs on the Wing, but then that folded, and shortly after that Steve had been in contact with Barry from Dark Side of the Wall, and they were losing their keyboard player and bass player. So Steve rang me up and said, Pete, we've got an opportunity here to actually go and join this band, do an audition. So we went over to Coventry and did an audition in a rehearsal room, and shortly after that we did our first gig, so we were accepted for the band. That was in 2000, and well, look what's happened. We're still enjoying it and entertaining our audiences. It's been an amazing journey. It really has. The music is, you know, it's just a pleasure to play, especially when it's something that you have loved from childhood. We've had some amazing times. Some of the gigs have been total sellouts, which have been absolutely fantastic. We've in recent years, we've pretty much had sellouts throughout, up until obviously this horrendous time we're having now, where the COVID pandemic has hit us very hard. But we're hoping that once all this is over, we can get back to business as usual. 20 years Steve and I have been in the band now. I've now accomplished the dizzy heights of doing 284 gigs. I've got some notes down here, so I can actually remember what I want to tell you. 284 gigs. Really enjoyed it. It's been a fabulous time. We've had quite a few lineup changes over the years as well. The last two major ones, I think, were obviously John Wall, founder and the creator of the band, along with Barry Page. His last gig, which was in the Y Theatre in Leicester. What a fantastic time that was. An absolute sellout show, and one that we won an award for, which is quite a thing, isn't it, really? It was very sad to see John leave, but he'd decided to move on. We then got Andy Nixon to come and play guitar for us. Andy came in and took over the reins on lead guitar, took the Gilmore part, and we had an amazing reaction to Andy joining. My music career, as it were, started many years ago when I was 16. Myself and my sister, we had a keyboard brought for us by our parents for Christmas. The keyboard we had was a synthesizer by Roland called Juno 6. Excellent piece of kit. I've still got it actually. My sister played about with it for a short while, but I found it fascinating because it made so many different noises. There were all sorts of sliders and things you could play with to make all these weird and wonderful sounds. So I continued messing about with that, and that's really what sparked my interest in keyboards and playing keyboards. Shortly after we got the keyboards, I got a phone call from an old school friend. He was setting up a band, a local band, Melbourne based in Derbyshire, and rang me up and said, "Pete, you've got a keyboard, haven't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, we need a keyboard player." I said, "Well, I don't really know what to do with keyboards that well. I've only mess about with it, only make silly noises and things." And he said, "That'll do." So I thought, okay, let's give this a go. So I joined the band called Y. We did a few gigs around the local area, wrote original music, got close to a record company actually, so we must have been doing something okay in those days.
Always your crazy tune. Now all that is ending. I'm gonna turn around, face this world right now. Why can't we face this world? I'm gonna turn around, face this world right now.
During this time, with being in Dark Side of the Wall, I've still pursued my love of original music. It's something that I'll never want to not do. I love doing cover music. It's fantastic. It's really taught me a heck of a lot about keyboard styles, playing styles, and playing in general. My keyboard skills have improved no end by playing Pink Floyd tribute music. The Richard Wright's keyboard parts, yet again, like everything else to do with Pink Floyd, quite complex, and there's some really interesting chords, structures. The way they actually put the songs together is incredible. But that's helped again in another way, because I've continued with the original music. Andy and I, we got together and actually started an original band called Freedom to Glide. We're now on our third album. We wrote a trilogy of music about war and conflict and the effects of war and conflict. The first album was Rain, and then we wrote a second album called Fall. The latest album is called Seed. Seed was released last year, doing rather well actually. We're quite pleased with the reaction to it. So this is all really what I personally like doing is the original music. We also film and produce our own videos for the Freedom to Glide music. The latest one being Broken Road off the Seed album. When Andy decided that he wanted to move on and do other things, move on to other bands and things like that. Andy and I had built up a fantastic friendship and everything, and it was sad to see him go. But we fell on our feet. We got Adrian. Adrian joined us, and now we're continuing. So the legacy goes on in that sense, because every time we get a really major parts of the band leaving, which everybody plays their part, and everybody has a major part to play. But it's always going to be difficult to replace those people. This isn't, sort of three-chord blues that we're playing. This is really complex music, and the people that have stepped up and joined us have just been fantastic. They're such accomplished musicians. Another little project I'd like to mention is a project called the Electric Nostrum Moo. Louise and I have actually been working on this keyboard-based electronic music. Lou's putting some amazing ideas into that for lyrics and vocals. As you can imagine, you've seen Louise play with us in Dark Side of the Wall. What an amazing voice she has. We're hoping, we've got quite a few songs together now, we're hoping at some point we might be able to release an album actually. There's a track that we've been working on recently called If Only.
If only I could ask why. If only I could comply. If only I could make your sky, make your sky blue. Like you make me.
A number of other tracks as well. Just watch this space for that one. And I actually collaborate with a load of other friends, electronic musicians, and we're doing, it's basically we're just sitting there playing and recording sessions that we do. That's called Undersmudge. Very interesting project, working with some very talented electronic based musicians for that one. Hopefully we'll have something for you to see on that at some point in the near future as well. We've got so much music that we've written so far, we just need to put it into place and work that one through. So really I'd love to start talking about my kit that I use on stage. Over the years I've built up a reasonable collection of keyboards, spent a fortune on this kit, it's incredible the price of it, but it's been for a very good reason. You can't do any of this without actually having the right kit for it. I generally use Korg keyboards for the live shows. There are one or two other little exceptions to that rule as well. So really, I suppose I better go and set up the kit and show you what I've got and what it does. Hi, this is my kit. So what we've got here is a number of keyboards that I use on stage. The first one being the Korg Trinity, the second one is the Korg Triton, third one is the N5EX, which is Korg again, and then I've got this little keyboard here, this very small keyboard, which is a Novation K-Station, and finally, I've got the old girl here, which is the DX7 2D. Bought this keyboard as my second keyboard after the Juno 6 that we talked about earlier. Unfortunately, I think she's seen better days. Setting up the gear today, I've tried to put it on and there seems to be some sort of problem with her. So she may need to be retired now, unfortunately, but she's done a lot of work over many years, many gigs, many bands as well. So I think we're going to have to pop her in the case, and she's going to go to the great, what would it be? The pearly gates for synthesizers, I'd imagine. I won't get rid of her, of course. She's been a long-standing friend and family member for many years. A very sad day. But yeah, so what we have, 5 keyboards I use on stage. I also have a Roland It's basically a KC monitor that I use. It's just for monitoring the sound on stage. It's not the best thing I've ever bought. So I used to have a Carlsberg 45 watt Hornet, which yet again was the first amp I ever had when I started playing live, and that unfortunately died a death quite a few years ago, so I bought this Roland to replace it. And then on the floor below me I've got a Yamaha MG166CX. It's a mixing desk I use because of having 5 keyboards. At the moment I'm just going through mono, which means that I'm just using one side of the stereo mix from each keyboard, just because it's quicker to set up. So that's used, especially for stereo stuff. You need all the channels for that because you need a jack plug for each side of the stereo spread to go into the mixing desk. So I've got to have quite a few channels on there to actually use. So that's the basic setup I've got with keyboards. I've set myself up a little rack here to actually put the case station on. Stands as usual. I use obviously sustain pedals for each keyboard, except for this little one. And everything else is as you'd imagine for setting up for playing live. But yeah, this is the setup. So I can run through a few sounds for you here. The sound you just heard a second ago is just a string sound that I used to bring in the Shiny Crazy Diamonds. So that's a string sound I use just to bring in Shine On. And then on the N5EX, there are little twiddly bits that they have in the Floyd stuff, so I bring in a few sounds like that. A few program sounds that I've put in, but it's difficult to actually replicate what Pink Floyd have done with it, especially with the earlier music in the 70s. Because the Hammond type sounds as well. It's a particular reason why I use certain keyboards for this. The Triton has got Hammond sounds on it, got organ sounds and things, but they don't seem as rich and tasty as the Trinity. Now the Trinity's got an exceptionally good sort of organ replicant on here that's digitally made. I've never really had to do anything with this sound, so I've never tweaked it or changed it. So for instance on Shine On we'd use a chord of that nature. Some lovely Hammondy sort of organ sounds, so you've got that Leslie sort of wheel going on there. It's one of my favourite organ sounds. I've used that on actually some recording as well because of it being so nice and rich. Though the Kronos, which I'll be bringing into this set for live stuff, has got some exceptionally good sounds on it as well. I can't really show you what the DX used to do because she's not playing ball anymore. You may have just heard a second ago, you heard the intro to Shine On. That's done on the K station. I specifically try to program this sound to sound as close as I can to the analog sound that Pink Floyd use. It's a lovely piece of kit. When we're playing on stage, we've got that big swell of sound. It just cuts through nicely, and that's what you need with the sound. You've got to make it cut through nicely and everything on there. Other sounds that I use piano, obviously on a few different tracks and things. So this particular piano is on the Triton. It's got some very nice piano sounds on here. But this is a really quite nice piano sound.
space between the heavens, in the corner of some foreign field. I had a dream.
That. What else would you like me to sort of show you? There's on here, if I can find the right sound, I think I'll have Sorrow. So during the sets, I'm mainly playing chords and sounds that actually fill out the overall sound of the music. But there are occasions where I'll actually play the odd lead break. One or two occasions, don't do it very often. On those occasions, and I'll generally use the Triton for this. The sounds that I've got for this actually cut through a little bit better. Yeah, one of the lead breaks that I do play, this is from Keep Talking, so I'll give you a little run through of that. Vocals come back in. Yeah, I just like to sort of stand behind this big rack of keyboards and hide. I let everybody else stand at the front and do all the showbiz stuff. There are a couple of occasions where I actually do put in an appearance on main vocal. There's a bit of laughter as well that I pop in there. You may have noticed that occasionally. But the other part is I do some harmony backing vocal wherever we can. So at some point I do pop in there with the old microphone and stuff like that. So really, I don't know really what else to say about the keyboards. It's a set of keyboards and I make silly noises on them. So I hope that's been a little bit of insight into what I do behind this big rack of keyboards. All I can say is I just absolutely adore playing. It's fantastic fun, and hopefully we'll keep doing it for a long, long time. Sadly, goodbye to the DX7 2D. Hopefully next time you see us we'll have the Kronos on board as well. So, but thank you for watching that. Thank you. Okay, back in the chair. That's my kit. That's what I use on stage. Hopefully it's been of interest to you. I hope you've enjoyed watching this vlog. It's not really the most comfortable thing that I like to do. I prefer to be the other side of the camera, to be perfectly honest with you. Public speaking isn't my strong point. So apologies for all the ums and ahs. But thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again in the near future. Hope you're all taking care and hope you're all staying safe. Back to you then, Steve. Thank you very much.
Wow, thanks very much, Mr. Riley. You certainly did a fine job there, and I hope your good lady was out the house while you had all that kit set up in your living room. Right, the subject of the next vlog is open to debate. We don't know what to do. We've done all 8 band members now, so we'll have a quick chat about that and no doubt come up with something. Meantime, we'll see you next time. Check out all the vlog links and Facebook and Twitter and all that type of thing as per usual. Until then, stay safe everybody, shine on.